IUL is like a financial Swiss Army knife. In this episode, I'm going to address what purposes can IUL be used for. Get ready. You're going to understand it's the dream solution for many financial goals. So I'm Doug Andrew. I've been helping people optimize assets and minimize taxes now for nearly 5 decades. And people normally come to me through what I call the financial dimension, and they usually are wanting to learn how to not outlive their money during their golden years. Most people come to me usually around 5 years before they retire, because at retirement planning is something totally different than what you did for your retirement planning. And so I have to usually utilize strategies like strategic rollouts. These are not rollovers. This is getting money rolled out of IRAs and 401ks to get the taxes over and done with in today's lower tax rates and reposition that money into something that's going to be tax-free from now on. Well, what is that vehicle? It is a property-structured, maximum-funded, indexed universal life insurance contract. But it has to be structured correctly and funded properly so that if you earn, like I have, an average of 11%, I've averaged 11.17 since 1997 when indexing was first introduced. Prior to that, I earned an average of 9.62. And your money doubles about every 7.5 years if you're earning 9.6. But see, I'm able to earn 11 and net 10 on the average, meaning only 1 percentage point over the life of the policy actually goes towards the cost of the insurance that the IRS says has to be there, so that if I end up accumulating $1 million and I look back retroactive back to day one, if I averaged 11, I was netting 10% cash on cash. And it means that if I have $1 million nest egg, I can pull out $100,000 a year without depleting principal. A lot of people say, what do you mean by 11 and net 10? That only 1 percentage point is the cost of the insurance, because agents who do not understand how to structure an IUL properly, you may only earn 6 or 7 and only net 2 or 3. No, I want to earn 11 and net 10. And so this is done by using indexing, structuring it correctly, and rebalancing. And that's why we teach financial advisors who are interested in learning how to do it the best way, how to utilize this correctly. Now, in this episode, I just want to highlight some of the benefits, how it can be used, what purposes IUL can be used for. So I usually can illustrate with no question why a properly structured IUL policy will knock the socks off of the same amount of money deposited into IRAs and 401ks. In fact, usually people have to perform a strategic rollout, and that's a tax reduction strategy. But see, indexed universal life, even though most people come to us wanting to not outlive their money, they want to optimize their assets and minimize taxes. So they're using it for retirement planning. And if you understand IUL, you still have to have a death benefit, and you have to have a reason and justification for the amount of insurance applied for. But what you're doing is you're taking the least amount of insurance the IRS will let you get away with, and you're putting in the most money or the most premium the IRS allows, and this turns into a tax-free cash cow. And so in other episodes, I talk about if I have a 60-year-old and they're coming and they want to deposit $500,000 into an IUL policy, we structure it to accommodate $500,000. But you could buy a ton of life insurance for $500,000. That's not the objective. Your objective is to have your $500,000 grow at an average, let's say, of 11 and net 10. So you want to get away with the least amount of insurance. And so under some tax citations called TEFRA and DEFRA, you can calculate that. And to accommodate $500,000 of money you want to put in, a 60-year-old can get away with about, $1 million of death benefit. And when you put in the $500,000, that actually qualifies as part of the death benefit. The insurance company is only going to charge you for the difference between your money and the original death benefit. So once you get 500,000 in there, they're only charging you for the remaining 500,000 of insurance. You're paying half as much for the insurance as you did when you started. And then as that $500,000 grows, let's say at 9.6%, it'll double in 7.5 years to $1 million. Well, now your cash equals the death benefit. So the insurance company's not charging you anymore, but under the tax citations TEFRA and DEFRA, the death benefit has to be 5% higher than your cash. So if you happen to die when you have $1 million in there, the insurance company will pay out $1,050,000, but they're only charging you for $50,000 of insurance. When that million doubles to $2 million, if you die, the death benefit is $2.1 million, but they're only charging you for $100,000 of insurance. But see, the interest you're earning on $2 million is way more than the cost of insurance on $100,000. This is how your insurance gets cheaper as you get older. So you use it for retirement planning so that every million can generate, $80, $90, $100,000 a year of tax-free income. It knocks the socks off of IRAs or 401ks invested in the market where the financial services industry only wants you to pull out 4% a year, $40,000. I'd rather have 80 or 100,000 instead of 40,000, and it's tax-free. Well, people say, well, can I use IUL for other purposes? Absolutely. If you're saving in a 529 college savings plan, this will knock the socks off of that. A 529 college savings plan, you can only use the money in that for college. What if your son or daughter or grandchild gets a scholarship and they don't need the money and they want to use it for a down payment on a home or, to start a business? They now have to pay tax. Why do you want to mess around with that? And you can only put in a certain dollar amount. Set up an IUL to fund college, and it will fund college whether you live or die, and it's totally tax-free. You don't even have to use it for college. Why would you mess around with all the strings attached in a college 529 savings plan? Well, what about working capital for business? Yeah, I have many savvy business owners. They use this as their working capital. This is the money they have that they want liquid and safe to buy inventory and so forth. Many business owners have 100,000, 500,000, $1 million. They keep that money in an IUL policy. And then when they need money for their business, they access it the smart way. They borrow from the insurance company using the cash value as collateral. They could withdraw the money, but that's dumb. They would not be earning interest anymore, tax-free. So if they have $1 million of cash, they can borrow $1 million, and the insurance company will charge them like 2%, and they'll credit them 2% on that $1 million of collateral. But most of my business-owning clients, they use the smart way. They use an indexed loan. They will borrow $1 million and they'll pay maybe 5%, but the insurance company keeps crediting them sometimes 10, 15, 25%. The year 2020 to 2021, some of our business clients were charged 5% on $1 million and they got credited 61% that year. This is what business owners do. They make money in their business and they still make money on the money they're using in their business. Did you understand that? Well, the same thing is true with real estate managers. This is where I keep my real estate equity. I keep my real estate equity safely tucked in insurance contracts where I'm earning, let's say I'm only earning 9% tax-free, but I borrow on my real estate at 4.5% tax-deductible interest in a 33% bracket. That's a net cost of 3%. Every $1 million that I borrow on real estate, it costs me $30,000 a year. But I make $90,000 a year tax-free. How much more is 90 than 30? It's 300% more. You use it for real estate management. How about an emergency fund? Why would you put money in a bank or credit union? Because it has a drive-up window? People think that's liquid. No, that's convenience. If you really understood, banks and credit unions take 30 to 40% of their Tier 1 assets and put it into insurance companies to increase the safety by about 5 or 6 notches higher in safety, triple A, instead of what they're rated, triple B, and they increase the rate of return by 4 or 5 times. They pay you 1% in the bank, they turn around and make 5%, put in an insurance company. That's 500%. Just bypass the middleman with your emergency fund. In this day and age, you can access money out of an IUL policy in a day or two with an electronic funds transfer, a phone call, or just fax or email the request, and they'll wire the money if you need to. It's just as liquid. What about estate planning? You can use max funded IUL for estate planning and kill two birds with one stone. You can accumulate money tax-free, maximize what you leave behind, and also you can pay any estate tax that may be due. What about lump sum capital transfer? Yeah, people get lump sums. They settle a car accident. They get a windfall. They get a lump sum distribution at retirement. This is the best way to reposition lump sums. General tax reduction, getting money out of IRAs or 401ks in a strategic rollout and putting it into a vehicle that's going to be tax-free from now on. At the end of the day, when you die, it reimburses you many-fold for the taxes you pay while you're rolling the money out. Pension maximization, what's that? If you're a school teacher, police officer, or a firefighter, don't take the most expensive life insurance policy you'll ever be sold by taking a survivor benefit. Take the no survivor benefit, which is more money, take the differential and put it into a max funded IUL, and you'll have way more flexibility and a higher benefit than choosing a survivor benefit when you retire as a school teacher. You will be forced to buy one of the most expensive life insurance policies you'll ever be sold. They don't frame it that way, but that's what they do when you retire as a school teacher with a defined benefit pension. So this is why IUL can be like a financial Swiss Army knife. It is the dream solution for all kinds of financial goals, not just retirement planning. If you want to learn how to utilize this, I want to gift you a copy of this book, The Laser Fund. This has been flying off of our warehouse shelves. You can go to Amazon and pay $20 for it, but I'll gift you a copy free. Here's how you claim your free copy. You simply go to laserfund, laserfund.com, or click on the link below, and you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I have some skin in the game. I'll cover the rest of that cost, and I'll pay for the book. I'll fire out a hard copy to you, but check out how you can listen and learn if you want, watch and learn. There's also educational webinars we teach on a regular basis. They're free. You can even schedule an appointment with an IUL specialist to see how a properly structured IUL can perform like a financial Swiss Army knife for you for all kinds of financial goals. It's extremely flexible. This is actually 2 books in one. This side is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs if you're a left brain learner. If you're a right brain learner, you flip it over. And this is about 100 pages, 62 actual chicken soup for the financial soul stories that actually explain how a properly structured IUL policy can be used like a financial Swiss Army knife for retirement planning, college funding, working capital for business, real estate management, emergency funds, for strategic rollouts, for pension maximization. So we have actual stories on how it is like a financial Swiss Army knife. So claim your free copy, begin to learn, and I want you to not be kicking yourself because you did not employ one of the most powerful financial instruments for your future, so you will not outlive your money.